Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again with another cook along this weekend. And today we have a guest chef, Ken Jordan, is going to be cooking with us and teaching us how to make a paleo bread and a raw couscous. And while we're cooking, if you are cooking with us, don't forget to turn on your ovens right now because we need to preheat the oven and ask questions, and we'll answer your questions as we're cooking along. And Ken, why don't you tell us a little bit about the paleo bread that we're going to be making and the raw couscous?
Thank you, Shannon. And yes, thanks for, even though I've done cooking before, I'm mad in the kitchen. It's funny when you're actually the main chef. The pressure is very different. Yes, this is a very simple recipe to make bread. We're going to do it fully baked and ready in under an hour. So it just requires some raw nuts, almonds, whole nuts, walnuts, or cashew nuts, just a mixture of raw nuts, 400 grams of that, and then 200 grams of seeds. I'm using sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds. So we can do it all in one bowl. So I'll put the bowl on the scale. I'm going to measure out.
We have a couple questions that have already come in as we got started. Tlaloc Miguel Lopez Waterman has asked, what is the definition, restrictions, and additions for the paleo diet?
Paleo is the biggest main ones are you don't have lumens, wheat, rice. Those are the main restrictions to the diet. Basically stuff that's not they call it kind of like the stone age diet. It's all
before we figured out how to make bread.
Yeah, it's basically it's all ingredients that you could eat raw. So try eating raw flour. I don't think that's really very tasty. So we can create a lot of that with just using nuts or seeds. And the beauty of it when you cook with this, like using turnips rather than potato. And the beauty with cooking with with ingredients that you can eat raw, your cooking time isn't as vital as it is, because you have to, properly cook potatoes or properly cook flour, so you don't have a floury dough.
Right.
With this, you don't have that issue because you can eat all these ingredients raw. So that's the beauty, really. That's the main beauty. It makes cooking really simple. The length of time, the things you have to cook. Is it quite right? Does it need longer? Doesn't matter. It's raw. It's stuff you could eat raw anyway. So there isn't an issue with, the kind of the cooking. It really does make cooking simpler.
You know what I really like is, Ken, you've cooked with us in so many different cook-alongs, and you always find a substitute for an ingredient. And I think that's really interesting that there's a lot of flexibility, I think. And that could be also your style of cooking, that you just find solutions. Yes. But I like that.
Yeah. And I've had to, because not that I can eat anything. I don't have any allergies. The reason I chose this diet, because it really does work well for me with my kind of exercise regime of really long distance cycling. And you can, anyway, I won't go on about it because I think I can preach this.
Well, and what we'll do is I realize there's a couple more questions, but what we'll do is we'll ask those when we put once we get the bread into the oven. Because if you have questions about the paleo diet, go ahead and throw those into Mukana if you're watching, and we'll address those questions about what we're cooking, about why we're cooking it this way, about that diet, and about why it makes sense in the time where we're waiting for it to cook. So let's go ahead and jump in.
Let's start. Yeah.
Well, and while we're measuring out the nuts, can you explain? It was in your ingredient list. You gave options for nuts, and so as we're measuring, I've got an array of nuts. I just always have a lot of nuts in my cupboard. So, is there an ideal ratio, or does it matter? I have walnuts, I have cashews, I have almonds.
It really, I've played around with all different types. Before I used to use a lot of almonds, and that's not really, you need to having a ton of almonds all the time, that's, as with anything, you shouldn't really, it's really a mixture. But walnuts, and I've just tried all types of nuts and seeds, and it's really, with this, it's kind of what I have left, because I have to use a lot of nuts, what I have left. So okay, we've got loads of walnuts and only a few almonds, so and hazelnuts. So we've got a lot of hazelnuts. So I'm going to be using a lot of that in the recipe.
So we're going to get to 400 grams, right? We're just going to mix our nuts.
400 grams of a mixture. Yes.
Okay. Mine might be a little almond heavy because I do have more almonds right now.
Yeah, normally I can do it with, I've done it before with just almonds.
Yeah, and I noticed you said if you don't have a food processor to use almond flour. Yes. So I figured it was okay to go almond heavy.
So I've got, well, slightly over, actually, let me take some out. I'm now going to add about 200 grams of seeds. Okay, and then it was 30 grams, or about a large couple of large tablespoons, 30 grams of chia. Again, if you don't have chia seeds or couldn't find them, that's fine.
Wait, the seeds are I got it messed up. I put a lot more chia in. Is it going to be very chia-y? I was thinking that as part of the seeds.
No. Chia is really a binding ingredient. It helps to bind the bread.
Mine's going to be really well bound.
That's going to be fine.
And if I only have pumpkin seeds, it's just pumpkin seeds, right? It's just
pumpkin seeds is great. Yeah.
200 grams?
Yeah, 200 grams. So in total, 400 grams mixed nuts, 200 grams mixed seeds, 30 grams of chia, and then pour all of those into your food processor.
Now, I will admit, this is the first time I've ever used a food processor, so I might need some instruction. Which blade should I use?
Well, I use a Vitamix, and so the blade, and here's another beauty with this. All we're really doing is the finer you make it, it's just, the more solid the loaf will be. There isn't really, you don't have to get it down to a powder. You can actually do this with just, chopped up nuts. It doesn't quite bond as well. So really all we're doing is making it into a kind of just a rough powder. You don't have to be fine. If there's lumps of nuts and seeds in it.
Alex, I'd use this one. So Alex, this.
Oh, the big
blade.
one.
Do you have a blade like that?
Because I have these other.
No, that's for cheese and slicing. You don't need that for this recipe.
I've literally not hit power on this thing yet, so this is all brand new. Hold on.
Okay. Just remember then to put the lid on.
That would be good. Yeah, exactly. All right, so I'm going to pour it in.
And then, Alex, if you haven't used a food processor, all the pieces have to lock in for it to come on. So if that makes sense.
I'm going to start pulsing mine.
Mine's super loud, so I'm going to go on.
Yeah,
mute.
so is mine. I'm going to.
So you're pulsing?
You can, yeah, pulse. Is it very loud? Oh, hold on. Let me turn off my mic.
Alex, is it turning on?
No.
So you have to, did you engage the, when you put your food processor, when you put your, bowl on, it locks. It should slide and lock.
It's locked.
It's locked, okay.
Probably should have tested it once before we did this.
And then your lid has to be locked too. It's a safety mechanism, right? So the lid should lock.
I don't know how it would know, but yeah.
You would know because you can't move it once it's locked. Did you see? Is it locking? So I think it's still moving. You'll hear it click. Listen to mine.
It's clicked in there. I mean, it's not going anywhere.
Well, it's moving.
Well,
like mine won't move like that once it's locked.
Yeah, maybe it should be on the other side. No,
possibly. Yep. There should be a little. See if you can see my camera. There's a little
spring-loaded thing on the back here.
So that typically locks possibly by your handle.
Oh, I got it. Hold on. I had this thing in backwards.
I
figured it out.
Yay.
Is it super loud when I do that?
Well, yours doesn't seem as loud.
Okay, because my mic isn't as loud. How fine do we want to make it? Ken? I don't know if you can hear me.
Mine's too loud. I can't hear you over my...
Oh, how fine do we want to make it?
Yeah, that was my next question. This is mine. Well, Ken said we can do however, but mine still feels a little punky. Ken?
I think we might have lost Ken's audio. I don't know if Ken, if you can hear us, we can't hear you.
Something unplugged, Ken.
I'm going to grind mine a little bit more. I think it's too chunky for me.
All I can say is it's a lot faster than cutting things. That would take a long time. That's all I'm saying. Hey, Shannon, that overhead shot works really well.
Oh, good. So I was able to get the camo to work, and so I have it attached to my iPhone, and yeah, I really like it.
Oh, that's great.
Been waiting for Ken to get back to look.
Yeah, I know. I'm afraid of pushing it any further.
I think mine looks similar to yours.
As I said, Shannon, I'm already sold. Like, it took me only 50 years to get a food processor, and you know, I felt like Damayanti really called me to the mat of like, you're really going to want one of these. And if Damayanti said it was needed, I was like, okay, I better. Next time we have a recipe with a food processor, I'm going to get one. And of course, I went crazy and got a pretty beefy one.
That's good.
There's Ken showing us his thing. We don't have any audio from Ken yet, but
I think it looks similar. I think
we might have ground ours a little bit more than Ken, but I can't quite tell.
I can't tell. It's a little.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
We're good. We're good. Okay.
We're good. Okay.
Okay. Now we just have to figure out what's next. I think we're going to have to follow. Ken, you might have to just use your speaker, your computer speaker, because we're going to have a hard time following along. We don't.
Right, that's my computer speaker, which isn't going to be very good. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Next is the eggs. So we leave the mixture still in the processor. We're just going to use in the same bowl. We can just put in 5 eggs.
So we're putting them in the. Okay, we're putting the eggs in the mixing bowl, right?
No, in the mixing bowl. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
You see, not the food processor.
Oh,
yeah.
You need a bigger mixing bowl. Now, Ken, what if you didn't have 5 eggs?
You can use, this is whether extra chia seeds or flax. I'm not sure whether you can hear me.
Yep, we can hear
you. Yeah, okay, yeah, flax seeds as a good substitute for eggs. Flax seeds in water. So a tablespoon of flax seeds in water is equivalent to about an egg. And I have tried it with using, if you don't have 5 eggs, if you've just got 1 or 2 eggs, then extra chia seeds with flax seeds, soaked flax seeds, that's a kind of good alternative. Because really all of this, the eggs are really to help bind. So 5 eggs, and then into the eggs you add a bit of the salt.
Just kind of a pinch of salt or salt to taste.
It will be salt to taste. I normally, this is sea salt, so if you go to 3. This is sea salt. You can see how much I'm using here. The sea salt isn't as strong as...
So you're doing about a teaspoon?
Salt. About a teaspoon of salt.
In there.
And then some oil. I use avocado oil, much prefer to, because it doesn't have olive. You can use olive oil, but olive oil has a slightly stronger flavor, and the avocado oil is a lot more neutral. That's what I prefer.
And how much? And how much?
You would put. It's about, how much did I say? I think it was about 30.
Yeah, I think you said
milligrams, or 40 milligrams. I would put initially just about 10 or 20 milligrams in first.
And what would that convert to in a measurement? Do you know?
Okay, yeah, that would be. Let's see, about half a tablespoon.
Way too much.
I have a measuring cup that has the milliliters on it because.
Okay.
There we go.
I thought I did, but it was, yeah, it doesn't start there and I went way over, so.
No problem.
The recipe says 30 milliliters or 1 fluid ounce.
Yeah, thank you. This is, you'll see when you make this, this is a really forgiving recipe. It's that simple.
Which is nice because typically when you're baking, it has to be really
yes, you need to be really precise. That and not so with this. I've experimented with. So once you've got the eggs, the salt, and a bit of the oil in, then just beat that together.
And Alex, I know you're concentrating, but are there any questions that we'd have time to answer now, or do you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Tlaloc Miguel Lopez Waterman asks, do the grains used in paleo bread have a high protein content?
Yeah, there's a lot of protein in nuts and seeds. And then obviously the eggs.
So are we just kind of incorporating, we're just kind of breaking the eggs. We don't really need to whip them that much.
You don't, they don't have to be whipped that much. It's just basically broken up, as you can see with mine. Oh, 3, sorry. And then I'm adding the.
We're adding the nuts.
Adding the nuts.
And do we just add them all at one time or slowly?
Well, you can do it. What you're trying to do is to make a paste. So put about half of it in first.
Okay.
And then mix together. Because basically we're trying to make a dough. This.
I realized, Shannon, that I think the glass mixing bowls work.
Camera yeah, I was noticing that. I really like that a lot. I tell you what doesn't work is
what I use, but it's
what doesn't work is me switching from my different cameras because I hit mute.
We're working on that. And just keep adding until it's a paste. Whoops.
Yeah, just keep adding.
I was using a whisk. I don't think that's a great idea at this point.
We've got these little spatulas that are really nice. Makes me happy. And Ken, do we think that we'll eventually put in everything? You just kind of keep adding it and mixing?
Just keep adding and mixing until it should really start being really difficult to stir, because it's kind of forms a big paste. If you go to the overhead camera, if you can see mine, it's almost like a porridge.
Yeah, it actually.
And if you find it, if you find it too dry, then just add a bit of more oil. Or if it's too wet, then just some more nuts or seeds in there.
And what do you think of this, Ken, if you look at it here? Do you think this is about the right? Or do you think I should add more? It's not hard to mix yet.
Yeah, no, yours isn't. You definitely need more.
Okay.
A bit more oil.
More oil?
Yeah, because yours doesn't look very wet. Or is it very wet? I can't tell.
It feels pretty wet.
Okay. No. Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
But should I end up putting all the?
Oh yeah. You want to end up putting all the nuts and seeds in, because the easier thing to add is to add just more. Is to add more oil or another egg.
Right.
Now, should it be dry enough to where you could sort of form a patty with it?
It should be.
Or is it
if you look at the consistency of mine, so it's kind of sticking. Whoops. Sure. See, that's kind of sticking to my to the spatula.
Yeah, mine's not. I think I might try putting another egg in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yours definitely looks drier.
I didn't put all the oil in either, so I'll put some more oil in. Still drier, so I'm going to put another egg in. But I have lots of chia seeds.
Yeah, that's true. You did add a lot of chia seeds, so that could be what's happening.
Yes, and the chia seeds will be absorbing a lot of that moisture.
I feel like mine's mixed.
Have a look. Yeah, yours looks a little dry, Alex.
Well, I'm just mixed in another egg.
Okay, cool.
Maybe even a little bit more oil.
Just a tiny bit more oil. Yeah, Shannon, yours looks about perfect there. You can see, you can transfer that to your loaf too.
And then do we do anything to prepare this pan, the loaf pan?
Right, sorry. Yes. If you're using a loaf tin, then putting some greaseproof paper in there will so it doesn't kind of stick to the tin. It makes it easier to come out. I use a silicone.
Oh, okay. I have a
loaf
glass.
tin.
I can put a little bit of paper in the bottom.
Yeah.
Cut this.
So you're putting a little parchment paper in, Shannon?
Yes, you put some. Yeah. If you've got a tin and some parchment paper, just to stop it from sticking. But silicone loaf tins are just.
Yeah, that's nice, because then it'll just pop right out.
Yeah, it just pops right out.
Now, would you recommend, since we don't have a silicone tin, what about just putting a little bit of oil on the sides?
Yeah, that could work. Parchment paper is really the easiest ones because that
well,
really helps to get.
Got kind of I just did it on the bottom, so I'm hoping that'll work.
Okay.
And do you want to just lay it in, or do you want to pack it in?
You want to kind of pack it in.
Okay.
Once you've got it all in there, then just kind of.
I'm going to use my fingers. I realized I didn't taste this for salt, so I'm going to kind of do a little bit of taste, but.
Yes, you can taste. That's the beauty of this, because there's nothing in here that you can't taste raw.
Maybe could have added a little bit more salt, but the nuts are so flavorful.
Yeah, because I find if I haven't added that much, if I find there's not that much salt in it, then the bread is perfect as would use with jam or with honey.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So I patted it down. Hopefully it's not too dense. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm all packed in. Not the prettiest thing I've ever done, but.
I probably needed a little bit more parchment paper. Mine's probably going to stick, but that's okay.
Yeah, most of mine parchment down.
No, that's good. You did a better job than I did. Yeah, I'm actually a little worried. It'll come out.
I have another question coming in from RJ Rod, who says, I am curious to try some berries in the mix. Thoughts or experiences with that?
Very good. Yeah, you need, if you're going to use fruit in here, I would use dried fruit like dried cranberries or, dried cranberries is a good something there. There's but dried fruit I would put into it.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking when I was pulling out my nuts, there were raisins in the cupboard, and I thought, raisins might be good in here, or even dried apricots.
Slalak asks also, does paleo also include eating meat?
Oh, yeah. It does.
So we go ahead and put this in?
Yeah, just put this in.
And we're going to put this in for about 30 minutes. Is that right?
About 35 minutes. Okay. You'll look at it and you'll see if, we'll come back, have a look at it in half an hour, and then you'll see whether it might need another 5 minutes or so. We'll see. Okay. Let's clear this away.
Another question that we had coming in from Guy Cochran in Seattle. He says, how does the paleo diet affect the ability to endure prolonged athletic activity?
Well, for me, that's what I found it really did help. I do ultra cycling distances, 200-300 miles a day. There's events where we cycle from London to Edinburgh and back. That's a 3-day event. Or there's one in France, which is from Paris to Brest and back. That's 1,200 kilometers, I think. And there's one in Ireland, which is a 1,400 kilometer 3-day event. Or roughly, you've got to do 330 miles each day. And this diet really does help sustain you in that, because it then, a lot of times, you don't, when you and you're, trying to find, and you're stopping for something to eat. There's almost everything is containing wheat or potatoes or grains or rice. And I don't eat that, so I don't eat. And you can just continue to do arduous exercises without actually eating. So if you think back to the times when, in paleo times, when they were out hunting for that meat, they would go for maybe days and maybe not even catch anything. So our bodies can sustain long periods of like fasting, of not eating. When you do eat, or when you do catch the meat, you then can only eat a lot. So, on those, for me anyway, doing those ultra distances, I could cycle, so 200-300 miles in that day, and just eat, a nut bar or something.
Right.
And obviously to drink, it's you can. Your body, when you start on this, your body does go through what's called a state of ketosis. That's why it's kind of also called keto diet, and that lasts about a couple of weeks, kind of flushing out all the like toxins or potato and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Kind of flushes out of your system, but then it takes about 2 weeks to kind of clear the system, and then you can,
That's great.
That's how that kind of works.
And what do you think?
And by the way, Roscoe, go ahead and keep moving questions into the host. I've switched my view, which is a lot easier for me, to my host view. So if someone on the back end can keep moving questions into the host, putting them into the host view is great for me. One question we had from Roscoe Jones is, can we repeat the oven temperature setting?
It's 180 degrees centigrade, gas mark 4. What is it? I think it's
350.
350 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah.
Great. What's next?
Okay. While that's going, we should make the couscous.
So this seems like another forgiving recipe, right? So you're not cooking anything, you're just mixing. It's your personal taste ratio, right?
It is exactly that. It's a guidance, yes, on this. And again, the beauty of this, all these ingredients you can eat raw, and so therefore it's not, critical on what you're doing. Anyway, this is just a mixture that we're going to blitz in the. So half a cauliflower. And the cauliflower is a great alternative to rice. So when you see recipes which use rice, cauliflower florets that's my substitute when I see a recipe that says rice. Use cauliflower. Because kind of what rice does is kind of soaks up the stuff, and that's what cauliflower is. So it's a great carrier of flavors.
I feel like it's really underutilized if you don't use cauliflower, right? If you use it for ricing and you use it for all kinds of different things, and then you use it. But I mean, for years I would forget about the little cauliflower, and I'm using it a lot more now.
Yeah, if you think of it as I said, like an alternative to rice, so it's great at like in curries and stuff because it sucks up that flavor.
And how do we want to cut it?
Again, we're just roughly cutting it because the food processor is going to do the majority of the work. You just want to cut it up into just.
Are you cutting out the core, or are you using the core too?
No, I'm using the core.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Glad you asked out. When I don't use the core, I save it for stock in the refrigerator. I just keep a pile of a bowl in there with my.
But because we're blitzing it, the core just is just kind of disintegrates in with the rice.
And do we need to clean our food processor? Do we just keep it?
Nope. Because again, all it's got in there are just nuts and seeds. So
right.
I'm gonna wipe mine out.
Yeah. So it's.
Go ahead and throw this into the food processor.
Yeah, this is so easy. This is just thrown in. So you cut up the ingredient, add the pepper.
I know carrots are next. Are we peeling the carrots?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm gonna round about this two large or medium size. I'm not sure, because when I see, it's funny when you're cooking with Monty and you show the American size and version. When I say 2 carrots and you show them your carrot or your vegetables, seem to be massive.
Let me give mine a better scrub.
And we're just cutting these enough to, and are we using a whole pepper?
Yes.
And the carrots are just cut up enough to fit in there, right?
It's just cut up enough to fit in there so the blade can do its work. Yeah. I think actually with your food presser, Alex, there's less, because with the Vitamix, it kind of, I do need to kind of cut it up into smaller chunks just so that the blade can get to it. But with yours is more designed to blitz this. So there's less needing for.
I think I might run out of room.
Cutting.
I may have to chop mine in stages.
How many? Do you know how many cups yours is, Shannon?
No, I don't know. It's probably maybe 8 cups.
Right. I was trying to figure out whether I was going to go to 14 cups or 8 cups, because this one's 14.
I think that's a good choice. I've had mine for about 20 something years. So
I just knew that if I got the 8 cup one, it was a lot less expensive, but it was like, I'm going to be upset eventually. Uh-oh.
yeah, no, I think that's wise. So
I put them all in, but I forgot. See, I'm so new to this. I put them all in and I forgot to put the blade in.
Oh, yeah. I do that all the time.
Right, and just
and you got to take everything out.
just a tip. No, for the lemon, we're gonna. I already roll the lemon before I cut out. That helps to juice it. Roll it on a hard surface.
Ken, are you adding?
Zest.
Oops, sorry.
So we want the zest of the lemon.
Sorry. Did you add the fennel?
I didn't. It's optional.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm definitely adding the fennel. I've never had it fennel to anything. So I was like, oh, I have to try that.
Yeah, it's kind of got a slightly licoricey flavor to it. I mean, I like fennel seeds in the bread, but Helen doesn't like fennel, so I don't use that.
I love fennel.
I've literally never bought it before.
If you like it, I have a really good fennel salad recipe. Okay, I'm maxed here. I'm gonna have to pulverize before I add any herbs. And did we add I missed it. Did we add the lemon juice yet? We're adding all of it.
I'm doing the lemon now. It doesn't matter what order you put them in. You do them because they're all going to go in the food processor and be blitzed.
So we add the zest and the juice then, correct?
Yes. So juice of half a lemon and the zest, if you can get it off. That's why. Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, the process I should have written that in the recipe is unwaxed lemons.
Yep.
Yeah. You need to look out for that because if you're zesting it, all you're going to be doing is zesting wax.
Yeah.
So yeah, always get unwaxed.
And how much juice do we add again?
It's about half a lemon's worth.
Okay.
And I would think that the lemon juice is another thing that we could add to taste.
Yes.
You wanted it a little more.
Yes.
Kind of a little more punch to it. Then how much of the herbs are you adding?
Again, it's to taste. I like quite like mint. Some people don't like coriander, so that's fine. You just don't use coriander, you use more parsley. So it's just kind of like a couple of handfuls, which I know isn't really a kind of accurate measure, but it's just, you know, so that's goes to the overhead. So I consider that one handful.
Oh, okay. I overdid.
Well, that's not, no, but I'm adding two.
No, but I added,
okay.
I added way more than that. Okay.
Okay, well, that's fine.
It's fine.
No, again, this is, you add to taste really on this.
Yeah.
There's none of these are, you know, you're gonna.
But I don't want to overdo it. I don't want it to taste like only parsley
Yes.
and cilantro.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. It's probably a little better.
I keep on forgetting I don't have to cut it.
Yes.
Like I started going into like, okay, I'm going to cut the cilantro, and then I was like, oh right, I don't.
It's a new world, Alex.
I know.
Mm.
Ooh, that mint smells good.
And then am I adding? Go to the other.
I've never used fennel. I got this, but I don't know I don't know what part I should use.
Probably the bulb for the.
It's the bulb.
Yes,
Yeah.
the bulb. I don't know if I ever really cook with the leafy part either. I think I just.
So it's just this part?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
And the whole part? Just this whole bulb here?
I'd trim the very bottom off.
Very bottom, but this otherwise this part
I trimmed
here.
that very bottom. And then sometimes I'll cut away if it seems like, I don't know, like it's a little dented or just discolored, I'll trim some of that off of the outer shell of it, the outer layer.
He's in pretty good condition.
That looks beautiful.
Smells good. I love the taste of fennel. I also like licorice.
Alex, are there any more questions?
We have no more questions right now. So if you're listening or you're watching and you have any questions for us, definitely throw them into Makana. And I'll figure out what to do with the rest of this fennel someday.
I have a really good salad recipe, Alex.
And then the important thing is turmeric, because turmeric is just so great for anything. Actually, you can even add turmeric in the bread.
And how much turmeric?
It's one tablespoon.
1 tablespoon of
teaspoon. Sorry, teaspoon.
Teaspoon?
Yeah. But again, it's turmeric, so it's good. If you put a bit more in, it's just good for you. And all it really does is kind of colors it, but it's goodness in it was.
And did we add the oil already?
I have.
Okay, I'm gonna add.
Yeah.
And salt and pepper.
And it was 30, another 30 grams of oil?
2 tablespoons. Yeah.
Miguel Lopez Waterman in Astoria says, can we have a show where Alex explores all the new fancy things he can do with the food processor? I think that would be great. I think we should definitely do that.
There's a great recipe of making ice cream, and all it needs is frozen berries and a frozen banana. Before you freeze the banana, you just need to cut it into slices. Cut it into slices, separate it on a plate, and freeze it. So once you've got frozen banana and frozen berries, just put those 2 ingredients into a food processor and turn it on, and within about 30-35 seconds, you'll have ice cream. Best ice cream, best ice cream tasted. And all it contains is bananas and frozen banana and frozen berries. I do in the Vitamix stack all the time. Okay, so salt, pepper, oil.
That's what I was missing.
The lemon, half a lemon, and the juice, zest of the lemon if you can get any from it.
Are we ready to?
And then
ready to chop. And then how? What's the consistency that we're looking for?
This would be. I think I've got one earlier. Show you. Have this overhead.
Oh. Okay.
Be that kind of.
Okay, great. I'm glad I asked. I was going to polarize it more, so that's perfect. Okay, I'm going to go on mute and blend.
Well, last time I went on mute, I didn't get back. Something. Let me.
And we should still be pulsing? Oh, can't hear you.
And Alex, pulsing, you know what I would do? Definitely do fast pulses, because you want to make sure that the bottom doesn't get super liquidy before the top can get like down there. Yeah. And I had to check mine a little bit. I had a couple of bigger chunks left in there.
Mine did pretty well.
Looks good.
Yeah, a couple big chunks in there, but not much. One piece of carrot. I was thinking about, I was like, why do they have that safety for the food processor? I was like, oh, so it doesn't spill out. And then I realized very quickly, no, it's so, as soon as I saw it do what it did to the carrots, I was like, yeah, it's so everybody's fingers stay on their body.
Right.
And
just be careful when you're cleaning it, Alex. Even a couple weeks ago, I was using the slicer blade, and it slipped when I was cleaning it, and I I did a pretty nasty slice of the finger. I think I'm going to call mine. I feel like it has like a couscousy texture.
I have to admit, the food processor is a lot of fun. I think I might use this more often.
I think you'll use it all the time.
First Demyanti, then Shannon, and it was like there was a lot of like, you need to get one.
When I love my Vitamix, I have a Vitamix too. And although, and I know Ken's using his Vitamix, I think you get more surface area with the food processor. So it, because it's not as deep.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I was kind of amazed at how quickly it made how quickly it turned all the stuff, all the raw materials into something that's like couscous.
And like I said, it has slicer blades. So I didn't use mine for years. And then I, grating cheese and all of a sudden I realized, like, why aren't I using the cheese attachments for this thing? It's life-changing. Alex, yours looks like it's a good consistency.
It's very good consistency.
I wouldn't do it anymore.
I'm not going to. Should I just take it out and put it in the bowl?
I don't know. Ken, are we going to, did you taste it? Taste it for salt. I had to adjust my salt a little bit.
I added really a little salt. I need a little more.
It's really delicious. I'm going to add a
very good.
tiny bit more of my lemon juice. I don't think I got all of it out.
Yeah.
I like the lemon zest. You could taste the lemon zest and the pepper.
What I like about it is it has the consistency of couscous, but it's really light.
Yeah.
Sorry, Helen was saying that I was muted. I said, no, I'm not muted. And I was, sorry. I was, all this is really, there is another recipe, so we can do, because it does take some preparation. The preparation, what it takes is soaking cashew nuts, but they need to soak for about 3 hours. So, but once you have soaked cashew nuts, and it's as simple as the couscous, but that gives you, the cashew nuts form a cream, which makes it like a cheese.
Oh yeah.
So you can make a cashew nut cheese, which works really well with the bread.
You should post that recipe.
I will.
Ken wanted to, that was what he wanted to make, was the cashew cream. And I was concerned that we wouldn't have enough time to soak the nuts, or we'd forget to soak the nuts. But it sounded really good. And we did make a cashew cream in one of the Mad in the Kitchens. And I thought that was really delicious as well, like a cashew cheese. So it's a nice trick.
Oh, Simon Ray says, how long would you expect this mix to last in the fridge, assuming people can resist eating it?
Because of the lemon, sorry, I was eating this and Helen was telling me, can't stop eating. She was talking, sorry. The lemon juice helps to preserve it, so it lasts in the fridge a good, easily a week. Same thing with the bread. If your eggs are really fresh, the bread will last a week, 8-10 days. Depends on how fresh the eggs are. That's the only thing that will. So for this, container in the fridge, easily a week because of the lemon juice.
It really does have the texture of couscous.
And so much better for you, if I say so myself. Just going to look at the bread, because that's been about, mine can do with another 8 to 10 minutes.
And will the bread kind of crust across the top?
Yes, it does. And you might see a slight crack in it. That depends on how much moisture was in there. How many, whether your dough was wet enough, it might crack in the middle, but that's all fine.
Tommy to Chance in St. Paul, Minnesota said, have you ever heated the cashews in when soaking to expedite the process?
No, because what I normally do, I just put them, if I'm going to make a cheese, I just put them in some water overnight and then make the cheese in the morning.
So 3 hours is not that's just a rough, like at least 3 hours.
It's at least 3 hours, no more than 10.
No more than 10? Is that
no
okay?
more than 10 hours, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
What happens if it's more than 10? It just gets mushy?
Yeah, it turns into a mush. But with the cashews, so about 3 hours, and then what you must do is you drain out the water. I'll put the recipe up. You drain it out with the water and then rinse it, and then that's the core ingredient. That was just some lemon juice, salt and pepper. I said I put the full recipe up, and then again in the food processor you blitz it. And well, soaked cashews are a great alternative to making like any kind of cheese or cream. So really, that's what you're using, kind of soaked cashews. Any kind of cream ingredients. So you can make a frosting. So you can make a frosting on a cake with using soaked cashew nuts. Yeah, if we do it again, we can go through.
Well, they're a neutral flavor, right? They're a little sweet, but they're still a neutral flavor.
Yeah.
So what other, so I would think after looking at this, that the cauliflower is key. You don't really want to substitute the cauliflower, but I think you could do other vegetables in here. What else would you do in here? I mean, maybe not, but.
You can use, well, yeah, there's celery. Cauliflower is the main one because cauliflower is really there that gives that consistency and soaks up the flavor of the turmeric. And it's really any other herbs and vegetables and stuff in there, but carrots are great. I mean, I've always used some carrots in there, but it's really all we're really doing here is it's a great carrier for turmeric, because turmeric is just a superfood, and that's really what this is. You know, as Jamonti talked about, the health benefits in turmeric are really great, and this is just a carrier for that. Just the cauliflower and other vegetables, and so it's such a great way of getting more turmeric in.
I have to admit that I barely added turmeric to anything before I started cooking with Damianti, and now I don't know. I probably add it to, I mean, all my breakfast and like I don't know, a third of my meals I have turmeric because I just love the taste so much.
It's really good for your joints.
Yeah.
Turmeric, it really is a superfood. Okay, let me just double check.
Okay, my bread's been in there for 30 minutes.
Are you seeing any crusting, Shannon?
I'm gonna look right now.
Have a look.
My bread's still a little wet. It's
yeah, that doesn't. A lot of the times you'll see it's might be wet on the top.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about that because that will just soak in once you've taken it out.
Okay.
So it's really, it's not a.
I mean, like you said, it's cooked. I mean, the egg is raw, but I mean, eggs don't take that long to warm up.
No, eggs only take yeah. So the eggs are already going to be done, and you can eat raw eggs anyway. They're great protein. So what you're really looking for in there is, you don't want it to obviously to burn or push at the top, but it's just so that it just holds together in the tin. But 35 30, 35, 40 minutes max will be, that should be.
I think mine could use a little, the extra 5 because I can see a little bit of browning around the edges because I have a clear pan. But it feels like it needs a few more minutes. And the other thing I was going to say about the couscous is I really like the red bell pepper in it. You can really taste it. There's enough to where it doesn't overpower it, but it adds a pretty color and you can really taste it. Like I think a green would be good, but a green pepper is going to give you a completely different flavor. The red pepper is really nice.
Yeah, but again, the main part for this is that, because green is a lot stronger in terms of taste with the pepper, but yellow pepper would be fine. Again, as I said, this is a carrier for turmeric, so look, see the bread.
Oh yeah, so I touched the top of my loaf and it's definitely hard. Like it was defeating.
If
I
you have
thought
a
it would
skewer, no,
Okay, yeah.
it doesn't take long, because if you put a skewer into it, again, it's not, this is, the timings for this are really going to be based on kind of your fan assisted oven, because they're all slightly different. Let's have a look.
Okay, my
Yeah,
skewer
mine's already
came out
hot.
clean.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, I took mine out, and sometimes I could give it another 5 minutes, but you see here, there still is liquid on the top.
Okay, mine didn't
very
crack,
quickly.
but it's a similar color.
Yeah.
Do you want to see that cracking? Is that what I'm
No,
looking
well,
for?
no,
Okay.
that's fine.
All right, I'm going to take mine out because my skewer
Yeah.
came out clean.
I'm often struck by when we're doing this that the room for error is so much different because we're all doing it together live, and if it doesn't work, it's not gonna. I mean, it's.
Well, they've all worked, Alex.
Yeah.
They have all worked. That's the best part, is that they have all worked, and I'm always amazed when they do.
Yeah, I'm glad I pulled mine out because I can see you don't want it to overcook because they're nuts and they'll just burn.
By the way, have you ever seen these?
I love those, and they're like puppets too.
They're like little puppets, but you can pull things out of the.
Okay, I'm gonna try to flip mine. I didn't take out my wrap.
Right out.
I'm not gonna climb on my.
Mine didn't stick.
Oh, it's perfect. Hot, very hot.
So mine's a little soft on the bottom, definitely crunchy on the top.
Yeah, probably just another few. Yeah, that's only a 2-3 minutes more would do. But if you just leave it to stand, it will be fine before you slice into it, because it might crumble. You can test it by cutting one end off. When you start to cut, if you start feeling it's breaking, then just leave it to cool.
Are you saying that it should cool first? I missed what you said, Ken.
I can't. Sorry, no. It was just to see whether it's held enough.
Oh, okay.
I just cut the slice off. They say, you can say to leave it to cool, but I love it when it's still warm.
Yeah.
And I put a spread on it. And that's it.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm gonna take a little slice as well.
Oh.
Wow. Look at how pretty that is.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. And then you put the hummus spread on this?
Yeah, you can dip it in the hummus spread. I mean, really, I was looking for another recipe to do in between waiting for the plate. And I said the ideal one would be the cashew, but that was timing wise. But
I'm going to eat
anything really can go in the spread. Some jam, depending on if you think it's could have done with a bit more salt, then it makes this a great sweet loaf by using it with jam or honey.
Oh, honey would be really good.
Tommy Chance asks, what does Ken spread on his? What are all the different things you spread on? He said some jelly, jam.
Yeah, my favorite one is the cashew cheese.
Ken, I promise you, I'm going to make that cashew cheese if you post that recipe.
This nut bread is a can carry anything really, sweet or savory. I mean, because it doesn't take, you can do it within the hour. That's how, it's a really great way of getting a quick loaf.
It is so good, and it really holds together well. Like, I love the texture. The texture reminds me of that really, really dense German bread that you get in the block.
Yeah.
Because it's moist.
Yep.
It's not wet. And I think I was a little leery on the 30 minutes, but I'm glad I pulled it out about 32. Alex, what did you spread on yours?
Oh my goodness. I have this Mari Island Marion Berry. It's one of my favorite jellies or jams. So good.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Alex, are there any more questions?
I don't see any more questions right now. If you have any other questions, we're going to end soon. So if you, this is amazing, Ken. Really, really good.
So good. Thank you for sharing this, Ken.
No problem.
We were trying to find
experiments with just different nuts as well. Like if you use mainly walnuts, it's a great way of doing it. But it's
excellent.
You could use pecans. It might make it a little more sweet. So if you wanted something savory, and pecans are just so sweet, but I think pecans would be nice in here as well. All right, Alex. I think
amazing.
I think we might be wrapped up. This is so good.
We have one more sliding in here. Roscoe said, how well would this ship out to audience members who did not cook along?
I would say cook it, make it. It was so easy.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've really liked, is that I find that the more I do this with Damayanti and with Ken, is that these just become part of my daily routine. Like there's so much stuff that I've learned with Damayanti's, and I can see this I'm making at least once a week. Just having a nut bread. I'm trying to get something that was like bread. I don't process carbohydrates very well, so I need to be constantly moving away from them, and so this is great. I usually, like, if I have a lot of bread, I have to kind of lay down, let my body respond to that, because I like the bread, but I'm always trying to find something else that is bread-like, that I can put spreads on, and I can still have my life the way it was, but with something that doesn't make me want to go to sleep.
You won't miss bread like this. Like you won't. This isn't a bread substitute. It's a bread, and I don't think you'll say, "Oh, I'm kind of sacrificing my morning toast because I'm eating this." It's just as yummy. And honestly, if I didn't know that it didn't have flour in it, I wouldn't think that it wouldn't have flour, because the it has such a nice texture and it really holds together well. Yep. When you think, a bunch of nuts, you think crumbly, that it's going to fall apart. It absolutely does not fall apart.
Very much like that German bread that we talked about.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Ken, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Thanks for putting this together. We always know that it's a lot more than just showing up for here. There's a lot of setup for all of us. So thank you so much for contributing this and showing us this incredible mix that we're going to enjoy a lot often, I think. So, and Shannon, thanks so much.
All right. Hopefully see everyone next week, perhaps.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Thanks.